Here in this video, we will discuss about the life cycle of Pacific Rim Kaijus. We know that they are a race of amphibious creatures genetically engineered by the precursors, a sentient race from the Antiverse. But that's just from the movies. And now, along with the animated series, The Black, we get more insight to what these creatures really are, their origins, their biology, and how they reproduce, and their entire life cycle. So let's separate each step of their life cycle into brief distinct parts and get to the crux of it. So now let's get to it. Let's start with the origins of these kaiju. Not much is really known as to how they evolved or even came to be as gigantic monsters, but we are led to believe that they are bioorganic war machines created by an interdimensional race of aliens called the Precursors. It is possible that these aliens have tried to colonize Earth during the Triassic period millions and millions of years ago, but the climatic conditions were unfavorable to their existence. So when they tried again in the modern times, they found out that humans with their technology could be a hindrance to their plans, so they genetically engineered these kaijus to eradicate humanity before their arrival. But I'm guessing that they had to base their monstrous creations on something that evolved naturally and with non-synthetic biological traits. So that's their origins, as far as we know. Now let's talk about the biology of these kaiju. Well, kaiju are colossal in size, averaging hundreds of feet in height and thousands of tons in weight. Because of their tremendous body mass, two brains are needed to control the kaiju's motor and cognitive functions. They have varied number of limbs depending on the species, and their skin is usually thick and armored. Their physiology allows them to adapt and survive on land and water. Kaiju can breathe and survive on land, on the ground, underwater, and even in space. Kaiju are silicon-based organisms. Their blood, called Kaiju Blue, is an ammonia-based fluid. It is highly corrosive, highly toxic to humans, and rapidly vaporizes in air following the death of the kaiju. So should they be killed in battle, their bodies are triggered to self-destruct immediately. The blood or the fluid of a kaiju is, as I said before, ammonia-based. The Kaiju Blue has the potential to poison the air and the surroundings around it, making the land uninhabitable. Kaiju's blood is very corrosive, corroding everything in its path. This makes it particularly difficult to collect samples for testing and experimentation in a safe manner. Although later, when it was successful to collect them, the Kaiju Blue was utilized and modified into rocket fuel and can even be used as explosives and for power generation. So before we go on to the life cycle of these kaiju, let's talk about their categorization or classification. Kaiju have been categorized into different categories, with categories 1 and 2 representing the weakest of them, while 3 to 5 are the strongest, with a new category 6 seen in the season 2 of The Black. Classification is based on size, toxicity, and radiation levels given off by their bodies. Kaiju are highly aggressive creatures, especially in combat. They can combine with the help of rippers, as in the case of the Mega Kaiju when 2 category 4s and 1 category 5 kaiju merged to form this possibly category 6 one. But then the first confirmed category 6 kaiju is the Breacher from season 2 of The Black, which seemed to be strong but then still weaker than Slattern or the Mega Kaiju, even though it is 1 category above them. Okay, so now let's get to the reproduction and the life cycle of these kaiju. They are stated to be created and not born. Their tissue is cloned from a single strand of tri-helix DNA, and the precursors assemble these creatures by connecting the cloned pieces. All kaijus share the same genotype but have widely varying phenotypes. This results in anatomical similarities between 2 different kinds of kaiju as a result of cloning. Anyway, to put this into simpler words, the precursors are highly advanced species that use an unknown base species and experimented with their tri-helix DNA and created and cloned these heads, torso, limbs, and tails of the kaiju, and these parts are not uniform in size. Some are bigger than others. Then they are attached in different sequences and styles to form the different types and species of the kaijus we see in the movies and the series. But kaiju that have been created are not without the ability to reproduce, given that Utachi was pregnant when she landed on Earth. But then again, it is unclear whether the reproduction is sexual, hermaphroditic, or asexual, as the information given by the movies is limited. In season 2 of The Black, however, more is revealed. It seems that kaiju were originally asexual, but as they age, they develop sexual organs like actual monster balls. So given the fact that Utachi obviously has ovaries and that she was pregnant, and now that there is evidence for kaiju testicles during season 2, we can now clearly say that these creatures, these kaiju clones, have at least 2 different sexes. But regarding the differences between the males and females, the sexual dimorphism, so to say, is still up to debate, as we haven't seen a male or a female kaiju of the same species together in the same place. Both in the movies and the animated series, we saw baby kaijus, and even they vary from each other by a large degree. For example, the baby Utachi that came out of the dead mother's body, and it was still preformed, and yet it was as big as 2 elephants, while the baby trespassers that was seen in the second season of The Black were a bit bigger than a normal human. And it was seen that they were quite a number of them, the baby trespassers in the show, around the same age, which means that a kaiju can have more than 1 cub in its litter. Even the big trespasser called Lucy was initially found by the crazy dude, the crazy Australian, as a baby, and he reared her, and in just a few years it had grown to the size of an adult. So we've seen baby kaijus and adult kaijus, but the juvenile stage is yet to be seen, and with the ending of the animated series we probably wouldn't. But we can say that the kaiju can grow at an alarming rate, growing exponentially in just a few years, from a 6 to 7 feet tall baby to a 250 to 300 feet tall adult, which begs the question, what do they eat to grow? Kaijus are mechanical in nature, and they are biological and are seen to be predators, feeding on both other smaller kaiju and other animals including humans. Okay, so to put it all in short, the life cycle, well, these kaijus were originally created and cloned by the precursors and even assembled by them part by part. The ones that were released via the breach to planet Earth, over time they develop sexual organs and reproduce their own young. These baby kaijus then feed on other life forms and grow to an adult stage in just a few years. And that, my friends, is the life cycle, the entire life cycle of a kaiju from the Pacific Rim. And with that we come to the end of this video. I hope you liked it. So hit that like button for support and subscribe as well to be a part of the MindQ family. But most of all, smash that bell icon for regular updates on new videos right here on this channel. Till the next one, take care fam.